No, this is, there we go. Oh dear, oh dear, I'll stand all the way back here. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight this is a bit outside of our normal public realm meeting, but incredibly important. So being a councillor is really a fantastic job, and also something that all of us take great pride in. So welcome to our public gallery tonight. I know that Brian has some family here, so that's really important. And of course we have our traditional local sitting in our front here, Jim, that's you. So if you'll allow me just a few words, and then we're going to go through the formal process, and our acting CEO, who probably didn't know you were going to be doing this at this point, but there you go. You'll be able to tick this one off the bucket list. So being on council is both a privilege and a responsibility. We're at our best when we listen to our community, support the best ideas around the council table, and challenge one another to do the best for all of our citizens. Sometimes our decisions can be very public, like planning permit approvals for things like cinemas or the current works in High Street. At other times it can be pretty tedious and long, with page after page of strategic documents, things such as planning scheme amendments, delegations, Gateway Island master plans, and etc. But each of them no less important in establishing the framework to enable our city to go forward. With the election of our former councillor Tim Quilty into the Victorian Legislative Council, it created a vacancy that has been required to be filled under the Local Government Act. This process was completed just last week on Monday the 14th. And so tonight we are absolutely delighted to welcome our newest councillor, Mr. Brian Mitchell. Yay, put your hands together. So this meeting is an important part in completing the formal requirements that allow Brian to fulfil the role of councillor on the Wodonga City Council. By doing this prior to tonight's council meeting, it means that when we convene officially at 6 p.m. for our public meeting, Brian will already be a councillor, and he can sit around this table from the onset to actually debate and make decisions in tonight's agenda. So I'm going to now hand over to our acting CEO to run the process that actually enables Brian to become a councillor. Thank you, Leon.
Madam Mayor, thank you very much, councillors, exec and the gallery. The Wodonga City Council comprises 7 councillors. The current council was elected in October 2016. An extraordinary vacancy was created following the resignation of, I'm going to say, erstwhile councillor Tim Quilty on the 12th of December last year. As an unsubdivided municipality, a vacancy on the Wodonga Council is filled by a countback. Voters did not need to vote again in a countback, as the ballot papers from the previous election in October 2016 were used. This process was the responsibility of the Victorian Electoral Commission, the VEC, who appointed Ms. Katrina Collins as the returning officer for the countback. The countback was conducted at 10 a.m. on the 14th of January 2019 and was held at the Cube Wodonga. The countback was open to the public and was attended by a number of the candidates from the 2016 process. As a result of the countback, the VEC returning officer declared that Mr. Brian Mitchell was elected as a councillor. Today, Brian, and I can still call him Brian, it will be something a little different a little later, Brian, will take the oath of office and make the Code of Conduct declaration. Firstly, the oath of office. Section 63(1)(a) of the Local Government Act states that a person elected to be a councillor is not capable of acting as a councillor unless he or she has taken the oath of office. The oath or affirmation of office must be made before the Chief Executive Officer, in this case the acting, and recorded in the minutes of a council. I'm going to ask Brian to join me at the lectern to make the affirmation, please. Brian, I'm going to try and read this as slowly as I can so we can just keep up with one another. So if you would please repeat after me. I solemnly and sincerely declare and affirm that I will undertake the duties of the office of councillor
I solemnly and sincerely declare and affirm that I will undertake the duties of the office of councillor
in the best interests of the people in the municipal district of Wodonga,
in the best interests of the people in the municipality district of Wodonga,
and faithfully and impartially carry out the functions, powers, authority, and discretions
and faithfully and impartially carry out the functions, powers, authorities and discretions
vested in me under the Local Government Act of 1989 or any other act to the best of my skill and judgment.
vested in me under the Local Government Act 1989 or any other act to the best of my skill and judgment.
Thank you very much, Brian. At this evening's meeting, we will table this signed affirmation and have it recorded in the minutes. Secondly, the Councillor Code of Conduct Declaration, Section 63(1)(b) of the Act states that a person elected to be a councillor is not capable of acting as a councillor unless he or she has read the Councillor Code of Conduct and made a declaration stating that they will abide by it. Brian, again, if you have read the declaration, if you would read the declaration out loud and then sign it, please.
I hereby declare that I have read the Councillor Code of Conduct for Wodonga Council, adopted on February 20, 2017, and declare that I will abide by this code.
Brian, thank you very much. That concludes the process of converting Mr. Brian Mitchell into, for us, Councillor Mitchell. Congratulations. Brian, if you can just step forward and sign the document. And then I'll certainly invite Councillor Mitchell to say a few words, please.
Madam Mayor, fellow councillors, council executive, ratepayers and members of the public. I'm truly honoured to have been preferenced by the people of Wodonga to the position of councillor. I pledge now to everyone that I will work diligently in this position in order to achieve the best results for our city and its residents. I will be teaming with 6 like-minded and dedicated councillors, and I'm confident that together we will achieve great results. Rates, roads, rubbish, the preservation of flora and fauna, budgets, tourism, Twin Cities structured growth will be the areas that I will take particular interest in. Structured and sustainable regional growth is now very important, considering talk of Melbourne and Sydney being full. So I thank you.